if I looked at the search term like women's pink rubber coated insulated water bottle, like that's my exact product. Now, the more specific you get to the product, the more specific the search is, the lower your search volume is going to be. So what we always look to do on product launches is like we try and find the intersection between good search volume, and good to us is like maybe even a couple thousand, depending on the budget, that also have really good relevancy to the product. Because what you're trying to do is you want to get in front of your exact shoppers. So example would be insulated water bottle is going to be really expensive and not super specific to my product. Like it's kind of specific, but not really specific. I'm trying to say like, okay, where can I start getting super specific to my product, but it's going to have enough search volume that I can get the sales volume that I need. So I would focus more on that versus than I would looking at only search volume. A bit of a technical answer here is we don't quote move them, meaning we're not going to pause the existing keywords. We're simply going to launch them in another match type. Again, make sure to keep the bids lower. Amazon actually, if you read their recommendations, they recommend keeping bids lower on broad and phrase match, even lower than the exact match. When we would launch those is honestly really dependent on performance of the account and availability of the budget. So if you launch a keyword in exact phrase and broad, so you have 50 keywords, right? And you launch them in exact phrase and broad, you technically have, 150 keywords that you've launched. And the potential of broad and phrase to spend could be quite high. So again, you just want to make sure it makes sense. It seems super simplistic, but if you are in a phase where you're struggling to control total ACoS and ACoS, to fix those two numbers, it really means that you have to lower down your ad spend with ideally little to no impact of the total sales or the ad sales in the case of ACoS. If you introduce a whole, again, those 50 keywords in exact phrase and broad, and those you probably need to test and optimize the bids, etc., you're introducing a lot of additional ad spend into the account. So you do want to be aware of that and be careful with that. So that's kind of a benchmark that we use. But overall, I would say, I don't know if I would have like a certain time frame or a frame which I would hold back on. It really is dependent on the performance of the account. Another good question, which best bid strategy for phrase and exacts when you move? So again, we don't really move them. We would simply launch them in addition. We like to separate them by campaign as well. Kind of gives us a little bit more control over, say, budgets for things. Now, as far as the bidding strategy, we're a super huge fan of using mainly dynamic down only. If it is a keyword that we want to ensure that we get impressions for, so for our launch keywords, for our main keywords, for anything we're trying to be aggressive with, we prefer a fixed bidding strategy. It's still going to be the same. It's still going to be pick highly relevant keywords. One other tip is pick keywords that fit within the budget of the account that you're launching. So for instance, if I have a couple $100 a day budget versus $50 a day budget, those launches are actually going to look a little bit different because I can't afford that many clicks on a $50 a day budget. Or if I had, a couple hundred or $1,000, I have a lot more room for clicks. So actually, you want budgets to play into your launch strategy. The other thing that you want to keep in mind, do not expect profitability on launch. This is a huge one. There's a lot of people that try and pull back and knee-jerk for profitability right out of the gate. That is not going to happen. The reason why it's not going to happen, and I'll tell you the numbers behind the numbers, is that ACoS is just going to be high on your product launches, and that is a function of two things. One, the aggressive cost per click you have to set to be able to get visibility in the beginning, and two, how low your product conversion rate is going to be, especially if you're launching without reviews. Those two things, once you start to be able to bring your cost per clicks down because you gain momentum or you're optimizing your bids, and then two, once your product conversion rate starts to increase because you're getting those reviews, maybe you're optimizing your listing a little bit more because you've learned more about your target market, that is going to help bring down your target ACoS. So those things, again, conversion rates is going to be low, high cost per clicks. That's actually like the nuts and bolts of why your ads are not profitable, and it's almost unreasonable to expect profitability in the beginning. And that's actually why, if you've ever had a product where you're like, no matter what I do, I cannot seem to bring the ACoS down, I'm struggling here, it's a function of that your conversion rate is remaining low and it's not improving, and your cost per clicks are remaining high and you're not able to improve them due to the market or something else. So again, I would still say pick highly relevant keywords, Also, make sure that whatever keywords that you have fits within your budget. Launch them. Aggressive, sponsored products, exact match, potentially sponsored brands video, exact match if you have the creative. Double down on that for a couple weeks and then start expanding from there. Hello and welcome back to another segment of Ask Junglr. So this is the place where you can show up every single Thursday, rain or shine, although that doesn't really matter, seeing as we're indoors, and ask your Amazon ad questions. So I welcome everyone listening. If this is your first time tuning in, hi, we're so glad to have you. So the format of this show is you can, wherever you're watching this, on whatever platform, you try and show up everywhere you possibly can and make it as easy for you to access as possible. You can leverage the chat to ask your Amazon advertising question. Can be anything. We get a lot of very technical questions here, which is always the ones that I love. We can go super in the weeds on it. The more information you put in your question, the better my answer is going to be, and the more it's going to be tailored for your specific scenario. And if you're watching this on the replay, we welcome you as well. The easiest way to find all of these replays, by the way, if you're wondering like, hey, where can I go and find it? It's definitely going to be in our YouTube channel. So if you go to the YouTube channel, I think it's the easiest way to access them. Again, we're streaming on all platforms. But if you go here and you go to the live option, you will see this live as well. So we're live right now. And then you will also see all the past ones. We have some really amazing guests on the shows as well. So again, always appreciate everyone showing up. All right, we are getting some hey, look, you're doing well. I am. I don't know if you noticed, I got, for those of you who've been watching for a hot minute, I finally bit the bullet, figured it out, and upgraded the camera setup. So no more blurriness for me. Can't hide behind that auto blur anymore. So this is me in real time, in real resolution, which is a little bit frightening, but hopefully it makes for a better user experience. Yes, I was not able to put out a information. Did you miss last week? I did miss last week, so I said we'd be here, rain or shine, weather permitting. Though, I live in Florida. Thankfully, we are okay. The family is all right. We are super blessed. I know there's a lot of people located in Florida who were not. We were, however, we did lose power and we're out of power for it was over 24 hours, which unfortunately for us landed on a Thursday. I was really hoping that I would be able to still show up for the show, but unfortunately weather and power did not permit that, so I ended up having to cancel last Thursday. I wish if there was anywhere that I could have streamed, I would have. I didn't have access anywhere that had power on at the time. So unfortunately, we did miss last Thursday. You're right. So there are certain stipulations. I was like texting the team, hey guys, we gotta cancel this. So we cancel like the auto reminders and things. Which, by the way, if you're not part of our newsletter, I highly recommend you get a hold of that because I'm putting out a lot of information on that. You also get access to like pre-asked questions on this show. That's not available to anywhere else. That is the only place we put out the links. Also putting out a lot of information, like gave a lot of like last minute fall Prime Day tips. This sort of last week we went into depth on bidding strategies. What is the best bidding strategy? When should you use what? Pro tip, there's one that I don't have a quote best because it is highly dependent, but if I had to choose the best bidding strategy, if you forced me to only go with one, I'm going to always choose dynamic down only. And there's one I would almost never choose, and that is optimized for ROAS. That's a little tidbit, but way more in depth than the newsletter, so I highly recommend you subscribe to that and make sure you don't miss out on things. So by the way, if you are watching this, highly recommend if you are getting value, if you have gotten value, it is very helpful. So this is thumbs up, pushes it out to the algorithm. So that's always a great thing. Feel free to ask your question whenever you want. So the first come, first serve, pop it in the comments and we'll make sure that you get it answered. Also, the sooner you're asked your question, honestly, the better, because if you wait till the very end, I'm here for an hour, but if you ask it at the end, everyone else asked ahead of you, you won't be able to get a chance. All right, cool. Good questions. Already got some rolling in. What is the best strategy of campaign for a product which is unique? Oh, love it. Those are honestly the hardest products to advertise for, are the ones that are super unique. So we have a really good video. I'm going to put it up on the screen here. This is our PPC playbook. I'm going to drop it in the comments, although it looks like you're watching it on LinkedIn, which unfortunately means I can't comment via StreamYard on LinkedIn. It's a little bit glitchy. But I would recommend going to our YouTube channel and then checking this. So this is our PPC playbook, essentially a launch strategy. So that's going to give you a really, some really good insights into how we go about launch strategy, how we think about it. It's essentially that. So your goal with any product launch is to identify where your product best fits in the market. Now, it's a little bit hard when it's a unique product. To be perfectly honest, the unique products are very difficult because Amazon PPC is not a great avenue for generating demand. It is a fantastic and the best avenue for harnessing demand. So essentially, you need to figure out where is that demand stream and how do I tap into it. So that's going to be thinking about where does the product fit in market. For example, we had someone ask a question a little while ago on hey, I had this candle. I think it was a candle. It was a hand soap, and it had a customization option that nobody else was doing. And so I was okay, so think about the product avatar. Who would be searching for that? Would someone be searching for a premium hand soap and say oh wow, that would look fantastic in my guest bathroom because I can have it monogrammed and that actually looks really, really great in a guest bathroom? Or are they wanting to give a gift and that would make a really great gift for something? See how there's those avenues. So they wouldn't technically be searching for monogrammed hand soap, but maybe those two avatars as they're searching for premium for a guest bathroom or something, or they're searching for a gift, might be the type of people who would purchase your product. So whenever you have a product that's not specific, there's no very, very specific search volume for that, you want to think of, okay, so what other products, what other demand is there on the platform that people are searching for, that if I get in front of those shoppers, that demographic or that avatar is going to be very likely to purchase my product. Also, other things that can be useful in these types of categories is oftentimes keywords can be a little bit tricky, but sometimes you can have some really great performance on product targeting. So whenever you're dealing with a unique product, I would recommend leaning into product targeting as well. All right. Thank you for hosting the show. Always watch it. You are very welcome. It is my pleasure. All right. Let's get into your question. How does Amazon prioritize impressions between ads for 4 products in a single sponsored display campaign when all 4 products are in one category when choose, i.e. bids are the same? All right. This is a good question. To be honest, this is a black box. We don't know. What I have seen is that anything that has good conversion rates and good click-through rates tends to get priority. Best sellers tend to sort of move up in the ranks in terms of priority. That being said, it's not always just the best sellers that get momentum. So our recommendations here, whenever you're dealing with product variations, we always will, when we have data to identify which products perform best, especially when it's specifically ad data. There are certain scenarios where one performs better organic, one performs better in ads. So we want to be aware of that. but we will always mainly advertise the products that have the best performance. Or another way to do it would be to put all of the products into that campaign, let it run, see, get the data on which ones have the best performance, and then pause the underperforming ones. Because even if something is underperforming, oftentimes Amazon will still get impressions, unfortunately, which means you're going to end up with that campaign not performing as well. So, do I know how exactly they do it? No. I just know that we want to optimize based off of data whenever we can figure out what works the best. All right, and another one. Why does Amazon suggest 2 different bids for 2 similar campaigns targeting the same broad match keyword? I.e. men's winter boots. My products are black shoes and brown shoes. Brown nose is the same. Yeah. So actually, if you go in there and you look at Amazon's recommended bids, what happens is I went to launch what I call like a dummy campaign, where you go to like launch a campaign but you don't actually launch it. You're just like looking at the settings and playing around. If you don't add a product to a sponsored product campaign, it actually will tell you that like, hey, it can't give you suggested bids, or it's not going. Yeah. I think I launched a dummy campaign. I didn't put a product in. I manually inputted a keyword, and basically it says, hey, we can't give you a suggested bid here because it's based off of the product performance. So the product's conversion rate, the product's click-through rate, and everything. So actually, Amazon, when they're determining what your click-through, like what your cost per clicks are going to be, they factor in the product's performance. And that's why a lot of times you'll see a product and you're like, why does this product get like really low click-through rates on this main keyword? Or you'll see click-through rates improve over time. That actually has to do with Amazon is giving you favor because the products perform well. Which unfortunately, on the flip side, can also come back and bite you if the products don't perform well. You can see a degradation in the cost per click. So they're factoring in performance metrics to help factor that into the algorithm as well. Now, how it weights it, I don't know. I just know you can look at the D account. And it will kind of tell you a couple things they factor in. All right, we ran sponsored display ads for one of our products while we're getting clicks without seeing any conversions. How do we optimize the sponsored display ads? You want to go in and look at what the actual search terms are being triggered on the sponsored display ads. It also kind of depends on the targeting, like what products did you target? How did you choose these targets? Really, how you improve is like get an idea of one, what doesn't work, 2, the things that do work. And so in these cases, there is a product. It is not called there is a report. It's not called a search term report. It's called something different. It's a match. I believe, if I remember correctly, it's called a match targeting report. That's responsive display. It's essentially a search term report. They just call it something different. And so you would want to go into that, because if I'm remembering correctly, I don't believe the interface has a search term tab for sponsored display ads. So you got to go in and look at this report, and you want to say like, okay, where are these clicks coming from? Is it because maybe sponsored display, there are certain products where sponsored display just doesn't work as well. So you want to adjust with the targeting. Is it because you're targeting, is it retargeting ads? Are you looking at purchases retargeting? Are you looking at views retargeting? Do you have are you advertising on specific products? Which actual product pages are you showing up on? Because oftentimes, even though you target a certain product, sometimes you show up on different product pages. Is it a category targeting? You just want to see like, where are these clicks coming from? Can I infer that these would make sense? If not, then you probably want to adjust your targeting, but you at least have some data in the form of clicks so you can get sort of directionally correct. Although again, I'll say sponsored display ads don't always 100% work for every single product, and sponsored display ads have less impact on organic ranking. I'm not saying they don't have any impact. I'm not saying sponsored display ads aren't a fantastic ad type to run. I'm just saying if it doesn't work for the products, I would not be too worried. Oh, cool. Yep, so you just checked reply actual data based on bids, different products. Yes, the one is getting lower bids and one performing better confirmed. Yeah, so you do get better bids based on performance, which means it helps you in more ways than one to make sure the products convert well. Which, by the way, if you want a fantastic way to check to see how your products convert versus the marketplace, that's one thing you really want to understand. It's not just how am I converting, it's how am I converting versus the competition that is the benchmark. Because even if you had, let's go crazy, let's say you had like a 35% conversion rate. If the rest of your market had a 45% conversion rate, even though that's a fantastic conversion rate by all accounts on Amazon, you still would be falling behind because you're 35 and the rest of the market is a 45. So how do you check this? There's two ways to check this. One of my favorite, which is a lot quicker to do, the analysis is like super quick, is going to be to look at the brand metrics inside of Ad Console is where you want to check. All right, I found the video here. I'm going to pull it up. We also have a video for those of you watching on YouTube, two for game-changing tools. This is first-party data from Amazon. You can use, again, the brand metrics. I walk through where to find it, how to look at it, how to analyze it, and then I also walk through the second one is search query performance report. Again, how to find it, what to look at, how to benchmark it to say, like, hey, how is my conversion rate stacking up against competition? You have better conversion rate. You can also check click-through rate using search query performance. How am I versus my competition? Down to an individual search term level for a specific product. How am I doing? Am I competitive? And if you are competitive, then as we've just confirmed, you will actually get preferential treatment in terms of your bids. How are your bids doing? Are they competitive? And so you want to make sure that, again, all of those things are competitive. And I don't know why I don't have my name on here. Anyways, so again, format for this, if you have any Amazon ad questions, make sure you type them, comment them in the chat, ask your questions in the comments. We will be here for another, looks like we're a little less than probably about 40 minutes or so left. So hopefully everybody had a really great fall Prime Day. We had a fantastic fall Prime Day. I actually went through and retroactively analyzed like all of our accounts. And what I found is that sales were up across the board. Total ACoS was actually consistent or much lower for all of our accounts. And I definitely credit that to the methods that we're using to optimize budgets on Prime Day and the things that we are focusing on. So if you wanted a quick sneak peek of that, let me see if I can log in and we can go over some of the budget optimization tactics. But the main one is we will actually look at the sales over the course of the day in our business reports. So unfortunately, Ad Data Console, not real time at all. You can't really look at those performance metrics, but you can look at the sales inside of business reports to see real-time sales. And then what you can do is say, okay, if my total ACoS is ad spend divided by total sales, then if my total sales is increasing, I can afford to spend more ad dollars because I can be confident that that number is going to work out. So that has been our overall method for that. And to be honest, it's doing fantastic. It looks like one of my team is saying, hey, your mic is terrible. And they are correct. I'm using the wrong mic. All right. How about that, Daisy? Is that better? Because apparently I was using the wrong mic. I have a good mic, but I was not using it the whole time. All right. Jack has a question. How often are you optimizing campaigns? Weekly ? Minimum weekly. So I'll give you a quick rundown, Jake. We check the accounts daily. You want to check your account daily. You want to check on your main KPIs, so your sales. You want to check on your ad spend, huge one. Did ad spend spike? You want to be aware of that. Total A cost. And we also kind of like to look at things like ad sale percentage. So that just tells you, hey, are my metrics okay? Do I have anything that's like house on fire, right? If my ad sale or if my total sales dropped, definitely want to make sure that everything is much better. You know, like I need to know about that today, ASAP, as soon as possible. So check the account daily. Now, what are your general optimizations? Well, if you have any fires, you better go put those out first. But in terms of the optimizations, you want to make sure you're optimizing bids. I would say minimum is weekly. You want to optimize them a couple times a week. So our workflow is optimizing. Again, we spot check daily, so we'll make incremental adjustments daily, but like our overall general optimizations are done multiple times a week, looking at different date ranges. You want to make sure you're adding negative keywords, minimum weekly, probably about weekly. You want to make sure that you are analyzing your placement percentage adjustments. I would say maybe you could get away with doing this bi-weekly. If you can have a more consistent cadence, you want to do that. Optimizing your budgets. Optimizing budgets is something that is not really talked about as much as bids, but it has a huge factor in performance. So you want to optimize your budgets minimum weekly. And then you also want to be looking at search term reports for new potential keywords to add. These ones you might add. It depends on how your ad spend is. If you have a lot of ad spend, you need to bring ad spend down. Don't go out a whole bunch of new keywords. But if you're looking for like ways to grow the account, then maybe you want to look at just putting in new keywords, maybe once every other week here, maybe once a month. It depends more on the performance of the account than performance on the products. So hopefully that helps. But Jake, if you have any follow-up questions on that, let me know. All right, learn from the gurus not to have sponsored display campaign spend for more than 20% of our total daily budget. My question is, what is the right time to sponsor display? The budgets are limited. Let's say $100. I would leverage sponsor display based on indicators that it makes sense for my brand. So my example would be like if there is, let's see, how would you put this? Like if you had, like you knew you had a repeat purchase product, then I would probably want to look at the look back windows and say like, okay, you know, like purchases remarketing, views remarketing. That's going to make sense for my brand, just given the product. Like, do you have a really good like subscribe and save repeat purchase type thing? I want to make sure I'm leveraging that. Do I have stellar performance in terms of ASIN targeting? Because sponsored display ads primarily show up on product pages. So does it make sense for me to leverage sponsored display ads to show up, like have more reach in terms of product pages, because I know it really works for me. So the way that we approach it is more contingent on like the actual performance of the account, where the account is at, versus like if you have, you know, $100 a day in ad spend, make sure that XYZ%. For us, it's all about performance, not necessarily like hard and fast rules, I guess you could say. Not getting impressions on one of our sponsored display ads. We're not sure what the issue could be. Really, rule of thumb, whenever you're struggling to get impressions, is always going to be increased bids. That's really like the primary. I know it sounds super simplistic and it may not be something that you can really afford to do in terms of increased bids, but we have a whole breakdown here. 0 impressions in PPC, how to fix it. I will also share that link in the comments as well. That's going to give you a whole rundown. Again, priority one is just making sure that all parts of the ad are delivering, meaning is your campaign active, is your ad group active, is your product active. Sometimes what we have found is that a product will be eligible inside of sponsored products, but sometimes it'll get flagged in sponsored brands or sponsored display ads. So just be aware of that and just make sure that you're checking for that. And then the other one is typically just to increase the bids. And then if the bid increases, don't work. It might be a traffic thing. So sometimes there's just like low traffic on something and that can lead to low impressions, or Amazon might think that you have low relevancy here. So there's all kinds of reasons and things why. All right, looks like our audio is better. Appreciate the team for letting me know, and appreciate them for listening in. Awesome. So our product targeting campaign isn't generating impressions. Yes, so most likely it could just be a traffic thing. Like there may or may not be a lot of traffic to that listing. And sometimes to get the placements you really need, you have to jack up your bids a lot higher than you think. So when in doubt, I always choose increasing bids and then see if we can get any impressions. If you're a little bit worried about increasing bids too high, one thing that you can do is like set maybe a lower budget on it. So if the bids do pop off, you're not like spending hundreds of dollars. So maybe you put like $5 budget and then you just keep increasing those bids so you can put the bids really high. My goal here is just say like, I know performances are going to be there. Can I get impressions? And if I just want to validate that it's possible to get impressions there before I do anything else. All right. Brand is winter apparel. Looks like sponsored display ads and having problems with that. So, I mean, winter apparel, it's starting to get cold in certain places. So I would say you're going to start to see a pickup. Winter apparel is highly dependent on the season. If you have a really hot winter where not a lot of people are having like cold weather, you probably will not see that much traction. Every time there's like a cold snap, you tend to see an uptick. Like I, for one, totally forget all about my winter clothes. I'm in Florida, but today it's a little bit cooler. So I'm like, oh yeah, what jackets do I have? Right? I haven't thought about these in like months. But then I went and dug in my closet because I'm like, I am freezing. And then when I find out I don't have any clothes, and I'm like, great, now I got to go buy stuff, right? So that's the thought process. That's pretty much how the entire country operates. So I will say with winter clothing, you will see, like, you can look back historically and say, like, oh, we tend to have like an uptick in performance in like September, right? So it does follow those seasonality trends. However, I mean, I know this because we advertise for several clothing brands, and like the seasonality, it's crazy. You need to be able to react quickly in these types of accounts. You need to keep an eye on it. That's why when I said spot check accounts daily, look at sales, look at trends, look at traffic. If you are checking your account daily, you will spot this. So you want to check the account daily, but you want to look back at historic. That way you can catch the uptick on the graph. And so I would say while these types of accounts are seasonal, like they have their seasonal patterns, they also are highly dependent on weather patterns as well, which can make them a little bit difficult to manage. It keeps you on your toes, that's for sure. All right, our category targeted campaigns receiving clicks. We're not seeing those clicks turn into sales. Yep. So I would go check the match targeting report instead of your sponsored display ads. That's going to say, hey, where are these clicks coming from? And then you evaluate, well, do they actually make sense? Because sometimes on category targeting, it will pull irrelevant stuff. And it looks like their sponsored display product targeting campaign isn't generating impressions. So in that case, I would go through that 0 impressions PPC video that I just talked about. And I would go and watch this. That will be super helpful. And that's how it'll give you all the troubleshooting steps for that. Hey, Elizabeth, good to see you again. Hello, welcome. I appreciate it. All right, looks like we got some more questions in here. Okay. I'd like your expertise in search terms that just have 1, 2, 3, or 4 clicks. When we look at a bigger picture, there are around 500 searches have only 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks, but overall consume around $1,000. This is the struggle. I feel you, because it seems like there is death by like 1,000 cuts. So this is one that was put together by one of my good friends. I just filmed another YouTube video with him as well. Let me look it up. Finding the video for you as we speak. But so there's a couple ways that you can look at this. One is that you want to look at longer date ranges. This will help you look at a good amount of clicks. So sometimes what happens is you'll look at, like last 14 days, last 30 days. You can go all the way back to 90 days in the search term report. So I would pull that full breadth of data. That will help you give like some idea of, like, it'll catch some more things for you. Now, the second thing that you can do is this is called an n-gram analysis. And I'll show you the video. I'm going to drop it here. So I cannot take full credit for this. This was one of my really good friends, Michael from Ad Badger. There is an n-gram analysis tool that we put together. And so what we do is we do a demo of it. What the n-gram analysis does is actually a carry over from the Google Ads world. And so the way that this works is it will look at all the search terms and it will help you identify where there are certain amount of clicks on root words. So it will help you identify, like, oh, every single time where I have like unbreakable something, I don't convert on it. And there's a lot of clicks that I'm getting, even though I get, like you said, like there's 1 click here, 2 clicks here, 3 clicks here. Well, when I look at all of the clicks for everything that has that one root word unbreakable in it, I never convert for that. So in that case, I can like kind of bundle all those searches together and say, these don't work for me. That's the general idea. So you want to do some spreadsheet work. And that there should be a tool that's available, I believe, underneath that video. Highly recommend you go and watch it. But those are my 2 best tips looking at longer date ranges. If you have a software that allows you to pull more than 90 days, which is what we do, so we immediately hook up every single account that we have to a software, and it will keep constant records of all those searches. So sometimes, again, even over 90 days, it's not going to hit a click threshold, so we can negate it. But if we look back at all time as those clicks accumulate, you will be able to negate it. So software does kind of shine there. As much as I am technically more of a manual girly. What are your thoughts on Seller Central Utilities Chrome extension? Freaking love it. We use this all the time. I'm going to see if I can find it for everyone because it is fantastic. And by the way, it's free, guys. So Seller Central Utilities Chrome extension, what this allows you to do a couple things. One of them, it has a search query report downloader, which allows you, instead of having to go and click into one thing and like download the report and you get to compile all those reports, you essentially say, hey, I want search query performance reports for all of these ASINs on all of these date ranges. Put them together for me, please. And it will generate one single download where you can analyze everything. Fantabulous. Love it. The other one that they have, which is pretty insane, is he's made a way, if you're logged into the Seller Central account, it will actually have a graph inside of Campaign Manager to show you your total ACoS and like your other data points. So you know how it's annoying to like go look at business reports and have to marry in that data inside of the ad console? You can get it in a plugin, and it is for the best cost of absolutely free. So it is amazing. Highly recommend everybody use it, and I will see if I can find it so I can pull it up on the screen. All right, yeah, so I always feel reluctant what to do with these search terms. Can I negate them all because then I exclude the spend from sponsored search term? The ACoS became pretty good, about 20%. Yeah, so the only reason you want to be careful with these kind of search terms, again, with low clicks, is when you can get the data to validate that they don't work, meaning like n-gram analysis or something, you can make a better directional, what would be the word? My brain is failing me today. Better directional, you know, you're headed in the right direction. That's what I'm trying to say. But if you are only having like 1 to 2 clicks, oftentimes you can end up like decreasing the impressions you get so much that you end up shooting yourself in the foot long term in terms of the sales. So really the goal with anything in ads is balancing. I want to make sure I get with sales, but I'm not going to be able to, like, I'm not going to shoot myself in the foot and like overspend. Oh, this is I hate that. I hate this. I hate this. But it is what it is. All right. So also, how can we negate terms in sponsor brands video product targeting as we don't get any option? Yes. So this happens with sponsor brands video ads. This happens with regular headline ads. It drives me up a freaking wall. And the answer is, I don't have a solution for you. Unfortunately, there's no way to do it. There's no way to fix it. And so what you have to do is, all I would recommend doing in these cases is you just have to adjust your bids based on the aggregate performance of all of those search terms and let the cards fall where they will, because you can't negate it. What is this issue? What are we referring to here? With sponsored brand ads, when you select a product to target, it will target that product and it will also target keywords associated with that product. What's the issue here? Well, a lot of times those keyword or those search terms that it's targeting that are like keyword search terms, don't really work very well. And sometimes the keywords that a product is associated with make no dang sense. So you end up getting a lot of wasted clicks happening through these search terms. But the problem is, because these are product targeting campaigns, these are not keyword targeting campaigns, the system does not allow you to negate keywords in product targeting campaigns, and vice versa. You can't negate product targets in keyword campaigns. So in this case, you are stuck. Now, in sponsored product campaigns, what we have found is that you can't negate the search term at an ad group level, because the ad group is the thing that is designated as product targeting. You can negate it at the campaign level, but that option is not available inside of a sponsored brand ad, both the videos as well as the headline ads. So what do you do in these cases? Again, I would just look at what is the performance of that particular keyword, and then we adjust the bids based on that performance. It absolutely sucks. You will be staring at that search term report. It will drive you up a wall, and there's nothing you could do about it, unfortunately. I wish I had a hack for you, but I don't. Hey, glad you're okay. Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. For bulk bid optimization, how often for a 20K monthly ad spend for what date range? Is it smart to go back? Also for a longer period every once in a while, or is that just redundant? Great question, Kim. All right, I will let you know what I would do if I were you. I would optimize bids at least twice a week. And I would look at a couple different date ranges. I would look at a 14-day date range, and that is what I would perform most of the optimizations off of. However, I would also look at a 60 to 90-day date range, and that date range I'm only looking for clicks with no sale keywords and keywords that have a high amount of clicks, meaning like 20 to 30. Benchmark it against your product conversion rate, and then they only have 1 to 2 orders, maybe only 1 order with over 100% ACoS. Our goal here is basically like, what are all those things? Because if I'm only looking long term at clicks with no sale keywords, there's other places to waste, meaning we might be spending heavily on keywords that have a lot of clicks. They've technically generated an order, so sometimes we're just like, oh, we'll slowly optimize the bids, but they might be bleeding out and like they're getting a ton of clicks and like there's not a lot of orders, so the conversion rate just isn't good and the ACoS isn't good. Now, if I have a low amount of orders, a high amount of clicks, and the ACoS is good, whatever, I'm totally fine with it. So we would go through like those 2 benchmarks, and again, we look at 14 days and we look at longer date ranges for those, just to catch the things that don't have a lot of clicks. And then make sure that we're have enough data to be able to optimize those properly and eliminate as much waste from the account as we can. Good question. Can you recommend a video on setting up sponsored display ads? I don't have that one. I will put it on my list. I'm going to put it on my list to create that. I'll do my best, but I don't believe we have a video, and I'm not aware of any other video I did. I did one with Ad Badger on filming on walking through sponsored product ads. That was a very in-depth video, but not the sponsored display ad. And I just did a sponsor brand video ad as well. So I have those ones. I don't have a sponsored display. All right. If I have a list of a ton of relevant keywords, but not enough budget to target them, should I go with a subset of them using broad modifiers? So I charge auto campaigns to give me more economical ACOS. I would go with broad match modified here. I wouldn't, because like you can specify, hey, these are the specific keywords that I want to target. The auto campaigns, you're just gonna like throw it out everywhere. Although I would recommend maybe trying. I would still try like a low bid auto campaign and then also use a broadified mod match. And as far as the relevant keywords but not enough budget, yes, you want to go with a subset of the keywords. I'm gonna give you a pro tip here. Let me see if I can find it. We have a resource that I need to film a video on. It is a free tool that basically does forecasting for product launches. So do you want to look behind the scenes of how we do it? This is how we do it. What you want to do is you want to look at, see, how is this forecasted? You have to get the average cost per click, which if you're using Helium 10 US, unfortunately, they don't have this overseas, so you'll have to deal with that. But your keyword budget is essentially going to look at what is the cost per click. It's going to go off of what your target daily orders are going to be. So how many orders you expect to need to get through that keyword, or what is the search volume. And then it's going to go off of your average conversion rate. So you're going to have to benchmark an average conversion rate. You're going to have to benchmark how many orders, and you're going to have to benchmark the average cost per click. Providing you have those data points, or at least a directional idea of those data points, then what you can do, yes, I will share a link to this sheet in the comments, and you'll have to make a copy of it. And then what you'll have to do is you can see what the keyword daily budget is. So here's a good example of, in this case, because this cost per click is a little bit lower, we have a keyword daily budget here, and we're going off of the max bid column here. So we're going to have to spend $96 a day. Again, if we want to generate 4 orders off of this, providing our conversion rate is 7%. This keyword right here, we're looking at $123 a day, $100. See how these ones are a little bit more expensive? And you also see the ACOS is kind of crazy. You can forecast ACOS on this based off of product price as well, which can be helpful. Also look at, it has a whole bunch of forecasting, like what the total budget would be to these, and you can play around with it. There's a demo. There was a demo somewhere to find it. Anyway, so that's what I would do, is basically like, how crazy are these clicks? What can I afford to do? And then that's going to shape my subsection. So my subsection is going to be shaped by how relevant are these to my product, and then how expensive are they? So how relevant they are to your product. This is more of a manual. So, for example, dog toy bunny has a decent search volume, right? Is my dog toy actually like a bunny? If it's not completely relevant, let's get it out of here. Pink toy dog toys, not super relevant, get it out of here, right? Dog toys for small dogs. Maybe does mine toy squeak? That's more relevant, right? So you're like, if you have a lot of options, what are my best cream of the crop options? That's what we want to zoom in on. And the best cream of the crop options, again, it's an intersection of how relevant it is, what is the potential search volume off of that, and then how expensive is it, i.e. what does the suggested bids look like. So hopefully that was helpful. I'm going to drop that link in the comments for everyone. You will have to go here. You'll have to go here, file, and make a copy of it. I'm not going to give anyone edit access to this. Sometimes I get people asking for edit access because I don't want you to screw up the original. We will need to maintain it so everybody else can use it. And if anyone's watching the replay and they want access to it, send me an email or hit me up on any of our social media. I'm more than happy to do that. All right, what PPC strategy should be for newly launched products with a lower price than £10? Good question. I am a spreadsheet girly. So I'm going to give you guys, here is a sneak peek into all of the fun things that I do on the weekends. All right. So I'm going to give you a forecasting tool, or I'm going to show you another forecasting tool. All right. I'm going to work in dollars. My brain works in dollars, but we can work in this. All right. So let's say lower than 10. I'm going to do $9.99. You can do a little bit less. So there is a product that we were managing. So if you want to figure out the product's price point, you also want to figure out the cost as well. So what you can do is you can figure out the product price, the product cost, and then if you look at the product's conversion rate, in this particular case, we have a net profit of $2.99, which gives us a margin of $29.93, which means my break-even total A cost and my break-even A cost are going to be roughly 30% on this particular product, which means if I have a product conversion rate of 15%, or maybe 10%, whatever that is, you figure that out, and then that means that my break-even cost per click is going to be 30 cents. So in this case, my goal is going to be, what search terms can I get at the price point of 30 cents? Now, how you can like offset this is going to be, if you, let's see, if I wanted to maintain, say, like a 10% margin after this, and I'm looking at ad sale percentage of 75 cents, I can go maybe a little bit higher. So I can make a profit off of this. Let's say 60% to give ourselves some wiggle room. If you offset this, so this is like your break even, meaning I'm not losing money, I'm not making money, I can afford 30 cents. If you can offset that by like 40% of your total sales coming from organic or something like that, then you can afford to spend a little bit more and still maintain a 10% profit. So that's what you're looking to do, is like, where in the space can I play that has lower cost per clicks? Sometimes that's easier said than done. So if you can't find a space where you can play with lower cost per clicks, then your goal is going to be to increase your organic orders as quickly as possible. So you also want to zero in on things that you can also rank on as well. And that's how you play that game. It's a long-term play. It doesn't happen overnight. And so in these cases, again, you get the lay of the land, do the keyword research, figure out where you're playing in the market, and then you just play your hand the best you can. All right, what should our bidding strategy be for our main keywords and other keywords for a product having a price? All right, we just answered that. It's pretty good. All right, we shared the forecast sheets. All right, another one on spend. Hey, Elizabeth, I spend $600 and ad sales is $247. I changed the strategies but not getting results. Lower the bids? ? I spent $600. All right, so what is your cost per click? Are you able to put that in? Because there's either two problems here. Either one, your cost per clicks are way too high, which is possible. That would help with lowering the bid. Or the second issue might be that your conversion rate is too low. $4 cost per click. So it might be the cost per clicks. That might be the cost per clicks. In which case, lowering bids helps. Checking your search term reports and adding negative keywords is going to be beneficial here. So you want to, two ways that you can fix this is basically there's too much money going out. There's not enough coming in. So you want to know, like, where's the money going out? And then am I getting clicks at that $4 cost per click that are not generating an order? So that's going to be looking at your search term reports and identifying if there's any search terms that you can get out of the account that you can improve. The other things that you want to look at are like the actual conversion rates of those keywords. So there's a couple ways that you can offset really high cost per clicks. One of them is by generating like a higher or like more organic orders. So you're not having to pay those $4 clicks on those, those orders. So that's not eating into margins. That takes time though. And that can be like, it's an uphill battle sometimes. And so the other way that you can do it is looking at, well, okay, if I have to pay $4 a click, but it doesn't take me as many of those clicks, because like if we have a 10% conversion rate and it takes me 10 clicks on average to generate $4 a click, that's $40 per order I'm generating, which probably is going to put me into the unprofitable territory. So then what we're looking to do is say like, okay, is there any way where we can like have less clicks that we have to generate an order, right? Because if I can have, let's go crazy here, let's say like a 50% conversion rate, which you're probably not going to have, there's only 2 clicks to generate an order. So in that case, I'm only paying $8. We went from $40 to $8. Now, 50% conversion rate from a 10, that's easier said than done, and some markets won't support that. But there's 2 ways you can do this. The main one really is going to be with the product. So sometimes if it's a product launch, then you're looking at like the reviews just aren't there yet. Maybe you haven't figured out the price point. Like you can adjust pricing a little bit. Main images are a huge way. I'm working on right now a way that we've been actually leveraging PickFu, which is fantastic tool. If you're not using PickFu, why? We, for the longest time, we're not even using it because we're like, oh, we don't do graphics, right? We're an Amazon ads agency. And yes, maybe there's ways we can leverage it for ads, but we didn't really see the benefit. Ran a couple tests for clients, and immediately we had some clients implement some really strategic insights we got from it, and immediately like conversion rates doubled. It's like insane. So if you're not leveraging some sort of insights from the market, you're missing out. So look for that video coming on our channel, ideally within a week. I still gotta film it, but so essentially you want to say like, how can I improve my conversion rate? Can I do main image? Main image is going to be a huge one. Do I have like all the images? What does the market think of my images? Not just do I think I have a good image, does the market think? Because in the original like one I just shared with you, when I was shared the product listing, I was like, you know what? These they look comparable to the market. Well, it turns out there was a very distinct difference that consumers immediately noticed that I had no idea of. So there's a lot of potential to have like blind spots in these cases. But the other thing that you can do in terms of advertising, so any sort of listing or offer optimizations be like including like price point and reviews and everything. Those will have the most impact on conversion rate. But also the other thing you can do from an ads perspective is make sure that the product or the keywords that you're targeting or the search terms or whatever it may be have a high conversion rate. Fun fact here is your ad conversion rate should be minimum equivalent to your organic conversion rate. So you want to have like your unit session percentage and your ad conversion rate to be the same. Ideally, if you're running really specific targeting ads, your ad conversion rate should be higher than your unit session percentage. And if it's not, it means that you're probably targeting a lot of keywords that don't have good conversion rates, which is going to be hurting you. All right. How would you approach brands with deals in seasonal products? Yeah, so seasonal products, the main thing that you want to do is identify when that seasonal uptick happens. And here's the pro tip that we found works the best is you want to make sure the ads are prepped. So you are running advertising, you're kind of seeing where those conversion rates lie. You don't want to start to get aggressive with the ad strategy until you notice the uptick in the market. The one thing that we found is that if you get overly aggressive well before the market, the conversion rate and the purchases start to happen on the seasonal products, then all you do is you shoot total A cost through the roof. And oftentimes, depending on how long that seasonality lasts, your profits during the seasonality won't offset your losses that you had pre-season. We ran that for a client with a Mother's Day product where you have like 5 days to get it right or you lose. profits weren't there the first go around because we pushed too heavily too soon. This was in conjunction with the client. So a lot of common advice out in the space is, hey, go ahead, rank your products before. Make sure you get aggressive. Make sure your products are seen and there and before, the traffic comes, you can be in a good position. That's not bad advice. It's bad advice if you want to maintain profit. So what we found is that if you can correlate your advertising, like how aggressive you're being with your advertising with the market uptick, that's how you can have your cake and eat it too, and means of exponential acceleration in sales and very good profit. Now, I will caution this with one thing of saying, if you have a crappy product, this strategy will not work. You have to have a product that is market ready, that you have the ability to push on. And so, again, you want to make sure you're being strategic, and any product, again, it's contingent on, does the product actually convert? So just be aware of that. Yeah, so you're saying you targeted mid-tail keywords, you got the sales and 13 clicks, but it cost me too much, so I decreased the daily budget and the launch of auto campaigns. Phrase, listing is fully optimized, images are done by a designer. Yep, so that's really the best that you can do. I would leverage the autos and the phrase now to just see, like, hey, is there anywhere we can get cheaper cost per clicks at a higher conversion rate? And then whenever your budget is limited, you have less options to play with in terms of the keywords that you can target. So what you do is you use whatever limited budget you have to find out what works, and then you just hammer what works as much as you possibly can. How do you handle PPC of Amazon basic presence niche? Do you mind clarifying this a little bit? Are you saying, like, is this where there's an Amazon Basics product? Because in that case, it's just kind of like a highly competitive niche and you just treat it accordingly. Or are you saying it's a giftable product? If you can clarify that real quick, because we're about over time, but if you can clarify that for me, I'll answer. How do you have a list of the Google tools you've created that you share, and missed where your second tool you mentioned can be found? I got the keyword base forecasting. Yes, so my team is actively right now working to get at. I don't have a full database of all of my tools. I should put that together for you, Kim. We'll make that a priority. We are in the works of, I know everyone in the space, right? We all put out a ton of information. It's all great information. It's hard to find. It's compartmentalized. You don't know where to find it. So we are working on something, because I show up here, answer questions for an hour, and then my answer to the last question gets lost in, an entire hour of content, which could be hard to QA. So look for updates on that from us at some point. It's a big lift, but we'll get to it. I see your Excel sheet. Can you provide to us? Yes. So I will share that second Excel sheet with you all, which actually was built for a presentation that the presentation isn't live yet. So you guys get VIP access here on the live. Tell a friend afterwards. But yeah, and I just put the demo in the sheet today, so you should be able to find it useful. All right, the unit session percentage, both organic and sponsored conversion rate, right? Over just where, so the unit, yes. So the unit session percentage will show both the sponsored and the, and the ad conversion rate. Ad conversion rate is just the ads, which is why you can kind of compare them. What should we do if competitors have huge brand dominancy? Figure out where you can play. So just because somebody has dominancy, you really want to go sub-market. So everyone talks about niches, niche down. That's essentially what you want to do. Now, how well you can do that on Amazon is going to be contingent on what is the search volume for that particular product. Because the thing with Amazon advertising, I said it before, I'll say it again, Amazon advertising is not good for demand generation. It's great for harnessing existing demand. So if there's no existing demand, it's really hard to get accelerated sales through it. but I'm going to pull up this one because it already had, like, it has some example keywords here. So you can see like dog toys for small dogs, dog toys, squeakers. See how dog toys for small dogs and dog toys squeakers are like subsections. So dog toys is like 372,000 search volume, whatever it is now. This is at the, whenever we pulled this data from Helium 10. You see how pink dog toys, right? Cheap dog toys. So that would be cheaper ones, right? Stuffed animals for dogs, dog toys for medium dogs. See how there's all these like sub niches within the niche of like dog toy. So fun fact here, actually, if there's a ton of search volume for something, meaning like here, like dog toys has 372,000 search volume. Whenever there's like a big main broad keyword like that, oftentimes, even though that one keyword is super competitive, whenever there's that many search volume, it's like monkeys typing on a keyboard, you're going to get a ton of different variations of that type of search. And so in those cases, you have more options to play with. So sometimes the more competitive the category, not always, I won't say always, but oftentimes the more competitive the category, the more options you have to play with. Actually the hardest categories are the ones where there's a lot of competition and you have no options. So if you have options, play the playing field. If you don't, do your best to generate lower cost per clicks. Get better click-through rates, get better conversion rates. Those things will together also help your lower your cost per clicks as well. You're saying no. I mean, the one we get in business reports is just for organic or sponsored. Yeah, so the one you get in business reports includes your organic as well as your sponsored advertising. So it includes everything. All sales you get, whether they be from advertising, whether they be for organic, is going to be in the business reports. To clarify that further, unit session percentage. So unit session percentage includes all orders, organic, and advertising as well. All right, it looks like we have some rolling in, but unfortunately I am over time. I got to hop to my next meeting. So I appreciate everyone showing up. Everyone who came up here, asked a question. You can either, we will pull up your questions next week. We'll get it from the team. Or the other thing we can do is if you show up next week, next Thursday, same time, same place, you should be able to ask your question again. And so with that, I really appreciate it. Again, you guys got access to some free resources I haven't even published yet. So make sure you join us next Thursday to ask your Amazon ad questions. And with that, I will see you in the next one. Thanks, everyone. And that wraps up this episode of the Ask Junglr Amazon Advertising Podcast. I hope you found these insights and strategies helpful in your Amazon PPC journey. Remember, if you have a burning Amazon ad question that you'd like answers to, head over to junglr.com/live to join our next live Q&A session. Until next time, keep optimizing those ads and stay hungry.